right, everyone, welcome to this beta break. This is actually a real special beta break because our international correspondent, Tyler, has now joined us stateside, and I actually went international, well, kind of, to our wonderful neighbors, wonderful hosts in Canada to check out the Canadian National Championship. And I managed to be able to bring home with us the champions in both male bouldering and both male lead, who happen to be twin brothers. We have Kindar and Mcnamee joining us. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, which a lot of us stateside aren't, with Canadian climbing, these two are just super strong climbers. I actually discovered or was introduced to Canadian climbing. I always tell the story because for me, it was like a shock at the Dark Horse in 2023 in Essex. Like literally, Canada crossed the border, came in, and it was Matt Rodriguez. We had Zach Richardson, Guy was in the finals, along also with Madison Richardson. And they just came in and crushed it and then just left. And I was like, what just happened? I was like literally, I'm like, who are these people? Where are they coming? And like, I didn't have a chance to even like be like, congratulations, whatever. Like they literally like won and then was like back over the border. And it was pretty funny and it was pretty crazy. But I was like, I need to find out who these people are. And then I actually connected with Pete Woods, who's actually very familiar with the Canadian scene, him being Canadian. And then he gave me a little bit of background around everything. But then, I had the opportunity to finally live stream a major event. And I, thank you very much to the CEC for
thank you.
allowing me the space to actually do this and be able to capture such a wonderful competition. And I really hope people will do it again. But enough about me. Let's talk about the comp. And let's just talk about you guys in general. So, Tyler, do you want to kick off with any questions? Or
for sure. I mean, I think with a lot of our audience being stateside, they probably haven't heard about you guys. Would you mind just giving us a quick intro, names, and where you guys are located, and a little bit of your climbing background?
Yeah. I'm Kindar Mcnamee. I was born in Haiti. I came over here to Canada. I started climbing when I was 9 years old, and then I got competitively like around 10 or 11. And then I've just been at the scene ever since, competing nationally and internationally.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I believe the story is
pretty similar story, except
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't guessed, Guy and Kindar, they're twins, right? So pretty much the same story. I'm guessing you started at the same time. Like, was there any particular introduction to climbing, or was it like a birthday party you guys went to? Like, how did you actually land in end up climbing?
Well, before we went to a climbing gym, we were climbing everything. We were climbing like the roof, the walls, and all that kind of stuff. So our father decided maybe it's best to take us to a climbing gym. And then we went once, and since then we fell in love with the sport.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Typical story for climbers. Parents just trying to get them to not break the house. That's great. And you guys are 22 now?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Cool. So, looking at around 12 years of training, is that about a good estimate?
Yeah, about 12 years or something, yeah.
Cool. And I think your records kind of speak for themselves, especially in the Canadian scene. But can I ask you guys to brag a little bit and just list off a few of your many gold medals and other performances, or maybe just if there's any standout favorite memories of your competition performances, maybe something like that?
My favorite would probably be winning a North American Cup, and probably this one, the Canadian National Boulder Champion.
And this was your first Boulder champion, Kindar?
It's my first Open Boulder National Championship win.
Okay. Nice. Very cool. And Guy?
I think mine would probably be the North American Cup bouldering that I won in Salt Lake City earlier this year. That was a exciting one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for anybody who doesn't know, the North American Cup Series is the U.S. and Canada combining for some pretty high level competition. So when they are casually saying that they won those, just know that that's pretty high level of competition. Super impressive. Hope you guys are, sounds like you guys are proud of it. That's awesome. And obviously we're talking to you guys on the back of this Canadian Senior Championships, right? So that's your guys' version of kind of open round all of Canada. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And was this your first time around competing in that, or?
No, we've competed many times before. Our first open was 2018. We've been competing every year since 2018.
And you were competing juniors and seniors at one point.
Our first youth competition was way back in 2015.
Yeah. So you guys are just
youth nationals.
Building up the chops.
End of 2015.
Nice.
Yeah. So 3 years into competing, you're doing youth and open. That's pretty rad. That's cool, man. Awesome. And so I know one of you just won the bouldering. I'm struggling to keep track of who's. So
Kindar got bouldering.
Kindar won boulder. Guy won lead.
Yes.
That's all. Is that kind of a common breakdown for you guys? Would you say you each have your preferred style?
I think we both prefer bouldering.
Yeah, both prefer.
But it's kind of interesting since generally we do better in like the opposite discipline. So Kindar does a bit better in lead, and I do a bit better in bouldering, but
traded a little bit.
Yeah. So is this the first time you both have held the title in both? Since you brought home in open, brought home both trophies.
Time, like at the same time.
Yeah. I know it's been individual, mainly bouldering, and also correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually started lead. Like that was where you both started, was actually lead competition, and then eventually kind of crossed over into bouldering?
No, we actually started with bouldering competitions, and then we went into lead or top rope, and then
It's usually doesn't happen.
Lead was like a thing that we had to really get used to since we were we were a little nervous of lead following and stuff. So it's like definitely something we had to get over.
Yeah. Kind of thinking back to you on your way to the top or at the very top of that lead, you didn't seem to have any fear, past the clip, and you're like, well, I'm not getting back to that clip, but the top is right there.
Yeah.
And you went for it. And so I clearly have gotten over that fear of falling for sure on that. Yeah, it was pretty crazy watching go. And then how does that work score wise? Because I'm a boulderer. I did start off on ropes, but I was traditional outdoors and then went into bouldering from a competition standpoint. But I know each hold is worth a point, and then, but aren't there penalties for not making a clip, right? For not clipping. So watching you, go for the big move, and then just thinking about the fact that you didn't, and I'm pretty sure there's rules around clipping. I'm a boulderer again from a competition standpoint.
Yeah.
But you bypassing that clip and then going for the top. Is there a penalty around that? Do you not get points?
It's basically if you can clip from that hold, reach down, let's say if I had made the jump and if I clipped down, then it would have been okay. But I guess in the setter's minds, it was where I jumped was the last possible clipping spot, which is kind of debatable. Since I was I could probably clip from up top, but who knows? So it's basically because that was the last designated clipping spot. Because I just jumped and didn't get the hold, I didn't get the plus.
Got it. So it would be a plus you would get awarded.
But if I had gotten the hold and then shown that I could have clipped, that I did clip, that I can clip, then I would have gotten points for that.
Got it. Okay.
That was actually a big source of controversy at Open Nationals for lead for the women last year in the U.S., where the setters had designated the last clipping position. Yeah, that was a mess.
And it totally changed around the whole order of the podium.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Twice. Like they had the podium, and then there was a bunch of appeals and arguing, and then a new podium, and a lot of the competitors are pretty upset about it, understandably so. Even the ones who ended up on the podium were not too happy about how they got there. It was a mess. So if I usually ask this question later on, if would you say that you agree with that ruling? I know, like, clipping positions and skipping clips is all kind of based on safety. Is that a rule that you would change if you were stepping into the federation?
I don't know.
I feel like so, but I feel like maybe almost, I guess, kind of adapting the rule, because I think it's like good, but at the same time, it's like a lot of times people, maybe you think, oh, you can't clip from here, and then somebody actually does clip from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, I feel like maybe just being like, oh, something like, if it's at your feet or something, then you can't clip or something. Rather than being
which
like,
I think historically kind of was the rule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like, I think still a few times where it's like, maybe it's a little bit kind of like, because a bit of it is also just like opinion and also like level of the people making that rule. So like, they're like, oh, you can't possibly clip from here. And then somebody does it, and you're like, oh, it is possible. So
it's like the BetaBreak, right? So eventually you figure out a way to kind of make that work for you. And we've seen some pretty creative clipping methods when people are smacking the clip to get it to swing towards them after a break clip. So like, there's lots of possibilities out there.
My favorite is a toe hook of the swinging draw to like bring it in closer.
Right.
That's always a fun one. So congrats on a great performance in lead. I'm curious to hear about the Boulder Round now. I know you were both in finals for bouldering.
We were.
Gotcha. Cool. Could you talk us through kind of I think we can just skip to the finals round. Would you mind talking us through kind of what the boulders were like for you guys, what the level of was like, if you enjoyed the sets?
I think boulders were pretty good. I think it was a fairly good split, except for the first photo. Not sure if you saw, but everyone topped the first photo.
Yeah.
Like too many taps. But I think the overall round was pretty good. Had enough styles, enough coordination, slab, powerful, and I guess weird.
Yeah, and you read that slab. Was that you flashed that, right, Kindar?
Yeah,
the slab
I yes.
That was the only flash on, and that put you in a really good spot going into Boulder 4.
Yeah, I did.
And then Guy, that was your breaking. Like, you didn't get.
Yeah, that was the one that crushed me.
Yeah, and you almost had that really crazy, like, dyno to a press for the catch.
Yeah.
Improving just to try to get zoned.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you were still like working through that and unlocking that one, and I was like, wow, it's like one of those moments. I'm behind the camera and I'm like not even focused on what I should be focusing on because of the creativity you brought into that. And it was interesting just watching. That was Boulder 3, I think it was the slide. Just the different ways people worked their way across that, and I don't really even know what the intended beta was. Just based on like just how many different ways people approach it and were able to successfully get zone. I think the top was fairly easy. I think it was really a race to zone for that one. Yeah,
I think they could have made the top bit otherwise, and once you got the zone, it was kind of over.
I mean, but 4 was kind of the opposite. Getting zone was easy, but that top was spicy, and it made for a really great show, and it was great to see. The separation was created through attempts, in that. But really, watching you both get the top on that was pretty cool as well. And then, seeing, Kindar get the top because you had qualified first, so you were the last one on. And then the first person to meet you after you came off of that was your brother. And that was really, really cool to see that support and that love. And, I know I have a younger brother and who I'm highly competitive with still to this day. And it's really cool to be able to see that and see the support. But I would still, it's just like, are you guys just there for each other the entire time? Like, I'm guessing you probably train together.
Yeah.
What's your support like? Is it just brotherly love all the way? Or is, you have your battles here and there?
There's no hate.
No, no hate, but you gotta still trash talk every once in a while, right? You gotta have that. So it was just great to see that. It was like boom, immediate, and and it just kind of brings me back to my youth, supporting.
Yeah,
even though we're highly competitive.
There's a lot of youth competitors out there who are in a competitive family, or multiple people in their family climbing and competing, and I think it's hard not to draw comparisons between siblings, or look at your sibling and be proud of them, but also maybe not thrilled that they're doing better than you on a move or something like that. Being twins, do you feel like maybe that's a little easier to not have to deal with an age gap as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Just a time gap, really, right? Who's the older?
We're not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're adopted, so we didn't.
Right. You are adopted, and a lot of people. I didn't realize that until I was just hanging out talking with Christiana, the head of CEC, like the one who's leading everything, and a woman next to her had pointed out that I believe it was Kindar was on the wall, and she's like, oh, and then like as the competitions progressed, I started to realize that this woman was actually your adoptive mom. And then I was able really to kind of put that together, because like literally every time I turned around, she was by your size. It was really like great to see that. And then also your adoptive father was there as well. I believe
he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Okay.
Yeah, he was watching from home. Yeah.
Watching from home. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it was just like, every time I turned around, she was there. Like, and so I'm, having adoptive parents can be a hit or miss kind of deal. And it looks like that she, she's really has been supporting you guys through everything. And like, how is that support system?
It's really good. As in, like, we definitely would not be nearly where we are without our parents.
Awesome. Yeah. And then like clearly supporting your climbing. And so you are, the comp was at both comps were in Montreal, and you're not located in Montreal. So
we're located in Vancouver. Vancouver.
Okay. So like we're talking major support getting you guys to all these competitions. And then, so were you in Vancouver when you were competing at Dark Horse as well? Like you lived?
No, we were training
in Montreal for like a month.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, like that's
a hike.
I was like thinking like just to come over and beat up on Americans and leave. That was a big hike. So yeah, all right, awesome.
And so, I'm curious, what's the climbing scene like in Vancouver? Are you guys based out of there most of the year?
Yeah,
we've been living here our life, so it's okay. As in, it's more outdoor climbing, I'd say, rather than competition.
All right. So, like, there's not we're trying to build, so like we have climbingnoise.com. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically it started off with, all of the competitions in the United States, local competitions in the US, but, a lot of people have been like, what about Canada? What about Canada? So we started to add, and I'm kind of feeling out, but I'm not really seeing a lot of local comps in Canada. Like, is it the local comp scene not as big as it is?
I think Montreal would probably be the biggest.
Right.
Scene.
Yeah, like a lot of block shop and Rose Block I've seen.
But otherwise, a lot of comp, just like local comps and stuff. But BC is not as rich with that, and a lot of the competitors are mostly youth competitors. But then most of the time, it's either you're like really dedicated to continue with open, or you kind of do other things. But I think Montreal has a bigger group of people who are like, oh, they're not in youth, but they're also still into kind of competing here and then.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the Richardsons actually moved to the Montreal area because that's basically where all the action was.
And it sounds like you guys have spent some time training there.
Yeah, we spent a few months training there.
That's cool.
2 months.
It's a nice vibe there, for sure.
Yeah.
What's the difference for you guys? Because I think you have built-in training partners. Right? What's the difference when you get to be around people who are that psyched on the comp scene versus at home doing your thing?
I think it's more just, I guess, kind of training with other people and staff, and just like it kind of builds everybody up when it's like, oh, it's like we're at the gym, we have friends and stuff, but they're like, most of them don't compete. So we're like, oh, hi, hey. Yeah. But like Montreal, we're like, oh, you want to train together or something? So we're all training for like mostly the same thing and stuff. So it's like,
yeah, it's interesting that you can compete at the level that you compete at, without like, I mean, I find that a lot of competitive climbers kind of build their chops with local comps. Like, I mean, every single person that you see, at least from a U.S. standpoint, that are, USA climbing, nationals, IFs, like they're all competing locally. They really kind of get up their chops. Like, so like, how do you guys get, stay at the level that you're at? I mean, when you start talking about not having that availability for those.
I think to an extent, competing at like a whole bunch of different comps isn't necessarily a good thing.
Okay.
Because maybe you compete at a few comps and then you know what you need to work on, and then you work on it while you're training, rather than just going to more and more comps and knowing exactly what you need to work on, but never being able to work on it.
So you do get in comps for a proving ground.
Yeah, I like do a few comps, but then it's like comps are only going to make you so much better. And I think the main thing is training, putting in the work.
Absolutely.
And then like 2 weeks before nationals, we did like a local comp here in Vancouver, and we kind of just saw a few things that we needed to work on and kind of got the last bit of training in. But yeah.
Would you mind giving us an example of something that you worked on in that last run-up?
We worked on a last slab. As in, we decided, because the main gym that we train at doesn't have a lot of slabs, so we decided to go to a few different gyms to help work on our slab skills.
Yeah. Okay. It's cool hearing you guys say over-competing might not be a good strategy for people. With the youth scene in the U.S., especially here in the Northeast, just growing so rapidly, we went from like 4 qualifier comps a season for the youth to there were 8 weekends in a row of comps this year.
Oh.
And it's tough to convince some of the kids that I work with to take a few of those off and recognize that you need to be able to train. You can't just stay at a peak performance phase the whole time. So hopefully somebody out there is listening and takes it easy for a weekend and spends some more time in the dungeon. Cool. So just going off of that, I'm curious, with a smaller comp scene around you guys, what are your resources like? Do you have solid coaches around you? Are you guys self-coached? What's that experience for you guys like right now?
We're self-coached. We've been self-coached for
2 years now.
2 years now. We find that it's quite nice, the flexibility, as in we create our own program. We can kind of adapt it if need be. And like, it's just easier with like balancing that with the rest of our life.
That's incredible. Really. And then, so do you coach each other? Like, I mean, because
like co-coaches, like we both coach each other, I guess.
Right. I mean, so what I was more asking is, so like, when you're on the wall, you have your perspective, from what you can kind of see and feel, but someone off the wall can see something that you can't see and may offer a little like, hey, maybe try this, right? And then when you come off the wall, you're
that's mostly what we, I guess, the other person will do. It's like,
Okay.
oh, maybe you're doing this, maybe like, hey, your hips are too far out, or try to move your hand a little bit. And then also just kind of keeping the other person accountable and being like, oh, maybe the other person's like, I can't do this climb this walk. And you're like, well, what are you doing? We're going to be staying here for 5 more minutes trying to work on this climb.
Yeah, the word can't is a very dirty word for people who are trying to get better. That's awesome. I think it's really great that you guys are able to. I'm sure that there have been some points of frustration with each other at times, especially trying to hold each other accountable. But it's great that you guys have such a cool relationship with it. That's awesome. So looking at, obviously, you guys are coming off of a big win, and congratulations again. And finding out that you're not people to necessarily overcompete, I guess I'm wondering what is next for you. Do you guys have more competitions planned? Are you just going back into training? What do you got coming up?
Right now we're in a training phase. So like the next 2 months we're training, we're shifting our sights a little bit more to lead and endurance. So we'll be doing that for a while, and then there's high performance competition, which is kind of a invite competition for the top climbers in Canada. I think it's like 20 people get invited, and then that kind of adds up your points. And then after that, we may compete in like a few North American Cups, 1 or 2. But then, I guess our main focus is probably the World Champs at the end of September next year.
Okay,
Awesome.
and so for those of you who were wondering what he meant by get a couple of points, do you want to explain? I know what you mean, but do you want to explain to everyone else what that means when you say get a couple of points?
There's a ranking system in Canada, in Canadian climbing, where I guess a few comps come for that. There's Nationals, High Performance Comp, World Cups,
And ACS Cups as well.
and North American Cups.
Yeah, and then so what are they counting towards? It's like what are we
they're
at?
counting towards, I guess, making the team, being able to go to other World Cups.
There we go.
So,
So essentially, you're ranking on the Canadian.
Yeah.
team.
As we have a thing called the Canadian Continuous National Ranking,
Mhm.
which is just I guess something that like every comp that you go to that's like worth points, it gets added to the ranking system. So like every few comps, it shifts a little bit in people's ranking system, and then that helps determine who goes to World Cups.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's a cool system, that
Mhm.
continuous points. From what I hear from a lot of the U.S. competitors, it seems a bit fickle, or it's hard to stay on. It's hard to get on the team. It's hard to stay on the team,
Mhm.
and there's not many opportunities to change any of that. So
I feel like
that's
ours
cool.
is slightly like, I think it's not that hard to stay on the team, I'd say. It's just hard to get on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a better model when it comes to athlete development in the long term for people who are going to be going to World Cups. The U.S., we don't very consistently have the same people, at least on the men's side. Brooke Ravatu and Natalia Grossman are always going to be there. Colin Duffy is pretty much always going to be there as long as he wants to compete. I'm curious to see where Jesse Grouper will be following in the next World Cup season. But outside of that, kind of our next 5 people in each discipline, it's interesting to try to guess who might be there.
But I think that's nice in the way of like, I guess it's nice it's a double-edged sword in some ways, where it's like, it pushes everybody to be like, oh, I can't slack, I need to constantly be in best shape. But then again, the nice thing about the Canadian ranking, you can be like, okay, I've gotten my points for this year. Now, instead of worrying about peaking at the wrong times, just so that I can continue to make team, I can be like, okay, next World Cup starts in April. It's November right now, or December. Let's make a training plan to peak at the right moment. And I think that's also nice for the top athletes, not having to worry about the smaller comps and be like, oh, kind of burning out just by trying to make the team, just focusing on the big picture.
Yeah, burnout's a big deal for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Go ahead, Tyler.
All right. Well, I want to just kind of get more into your training, because that's something I'm always super curious about. If you guys are willing to divulge some secrets, don't feel like you got to give away everything. But we're rapidly approaching lead season for the youth competitors coming up here in a couple months, and I'm curious. You talked about kind of getting over the fear of falling. Is there anything that helped you guys in that journey dealing with fear?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but I guess mostly we just took big falls. I think that was like the main thing. We like purposely maybe did a few unnecessary dynos on climbs. We like maybe skipped the next 2 clips and just fell from the very top of the wall. I guess just like immersing ourselves in really big falls and unexpected falls.
And something that's like, obviously you can't if you're scared, you can't do the biggest fall on day one, but just like gradually building up until you're being like, I guess if you're consciously, it's safe and you're not going to die, but like almost like teaching your subconscious that it's like everything's fine, and that just comes with like doing it over and over again.
Yeah. willingness to approach that fear, super important. And then when it comes to kind of building up that endurance, do you guys have a favorite way of approaching that?
This time we've kind of leading up to nationals. I guess leading up to nationals, we mostly just focused on we have a pretty standard thing that we do. We do should do 4x4s, a 25 move circuit, and then a 45 move circuit. We usually do that every week. For
what's that difficulty level of your 25 move circuit versus the 45 move circuit?
25 move circuit.
I know it's hard to put a grade on it.
Quite difficult. It's more power endurance, I guess. So it's like usually we fall around like hold 20 to 25 or something, and then you get back on, try to do those last moves, and it's really about the intensity. And then the 45 move circuit is more just pure endurance, so like much easier moves, but then just kind of staying on the wall for that period of time. And then actually right after like hold 45, we run over to the campus board and then try to campus just by like, I guess, in having that contact strength, because often when you're pumped, the thing that goes away the fastest is your ability to quickly contract the muscle. So being able kind of teaching yourself like I'm pumped, but still being able to like snatch the holds.
Ooh, that's a good drill. Did you guys come up with that on your own, or did you pick that up somewhere? That's a good one. Oh, my teen kids are gonna hate that one.
That's great. I was actually, just kind of thinking about Guy when you were, the place where everyone got pumped on the climb. You actually did this in both the semifinals and finals. You found a really good rest and really like opened up, got upside down, shook out, and just really took your time. Big deep breaths. Like that was something you typically. I've never seen someone just really be so like really just wide open versus just kind of shaking out, finding a good rest. Yeah. Like is this something that you've also kind of developed and worked on, or you just found like in this moment it was just.
It's something that I've often kind of do, like not necessarily when I'm doing circuits so much, but like when I'm on lead, kind of training actually on the lead wall. Just I guess if you're like this, like kind of squished and stuff, it doesn't. I guess it just compresses everything. But like if you're like opening yourself up, it just allows a little bit more oxygen flow, and then really taking deep breaths, getting oxygen to the muscles that need them, and really almost just trying to slow your heart rate down and kind of just really relax. Which you can't do on every climb, but like if there's like a jug that you feel comfortable on, just like taking a few seconds to really kind of slow down the heart rate a little bit and kind of just get some more oxygen to the muscle.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that you did that both times, and so is that something you do as well, Kindar? Like so because unfortunately, and we'll come back to this in a second, but like did you? Is that something you do as well? Or is this just like a kind of a geese?
Actually, no, I feel like I didn't. I guess I've kind of noticed that he does it, but it's not really something we talk about. As in, I rest and shake out, but I feel like I don't really do like a big breathing.
That big opening.
I feel like I mostly just breathe like deeply throughout the whole route, I'd say, rather than like a particular spot.
And like so, just kind of coming back a little bit to that, like so, what was your mindset going? This is for you, Kindar, going into the lead. Fresh off of the win, like you only had a day to even just kind of absorb the fact that you just you won it in bouldering. Because I know you had that you just had an unfortunate foot pop on on the lead. Like so, like what was your mindset going into that? And then
I was pretty ambitious. Because the previous year I had won, so my goal was definitely to win. Didn't happen, but I feel like I was pretty confident that I could do well. I feel like my main, I guess, competition was my brother. I feel like I was pretty confident I could do well.
Okay. And it was just like an unfortunate.
It's just that.
Yeah.
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 So, happened.
Yeah. Next time. You'll take a book next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a million more technical questions, but stop me if they're getting boring. You guys sound like you're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to training and working different energy systems. Do you guys have any sort of academic background? Where'd you guys pick a lot of this up?
I think mostly from because we used to have a few coaches actually. We when we were on the youth program, we had 3 coaches. We had like 2, I guess, climbing coaches, and then 1 conditioning coach. So I'd say we got a lot of our knowledge from them. Mm-hmm. I guess just like over time, you almost get kind of understand, I guess, like what training does, especially just asking more questions, being like, instead of like, oh, we're doing circuit, being like, oh, we're doing sockets to build up there. So like and I guess the more you learn about it, the more you get an idea of like what's needed. And then you can be like, okay, let's be creative. Let's maybe do this. And like the campusing thing, we're like, okay, contract strength is something important. Endurance, let's see if we can combine that. And just a lot of it is also just trial and error and being like, okay, let's try this thing out. And we're like, maybe it works. Maybe we're like, this is stupid. We're never going to do this again. And it's just like, yeah, it's definitely a bunch of trial and error when coaching ourselves.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds like you guys had some pretty good coaches. Good tip for anybody at home working with a coach, or if you're a youth climber, next time you're doing a drill, ask your coach why you're doing it, because a lot of people just know their 5 drills and know what a 4x4 is and know what circuits are, but they're not actually sure what they're doing or what they're trying to work.
But actually, one question that I know Tyler wanted to ask, and you kind of touched on it, is you said that essentially where you are you do a lot of outdoor climbing. Now I think I did come across a video of you guys doing some outdoor bouldering, some pretty strong bouldering. But so do you spend a lot of time outdoors projecting, or is it mainly your indoors training and competing?
We mostly just do indoor training. Yeah, I think we didn't actually even time outdoors this year. Our main focus for sure is definitely competition. Trying to do well in competitions. I think I don't think it relates that much to competition, outdoor climbing.
Especially bouldering, I think, as in with,
your bouldering is definitely taking a sharp turn into its own thing. And it's that's like kind of a conversation that I try to get people to understand, the competitive format of any sport a lot of times diverge from the actual true roots of the original, like where originated. And it's something that people, the purists, I'll call them, fight, so like we just had a conversation with Norchi and probably, everyone about the lache, how the lache and just swinging, and so much dynamic movement has made its way into competitive bouldering. Right, and even competitive lead, right? So we start talking about that, and it's like, it's okay, right? It's not outdoor climbing, and we're trying to. There's a lot of reasons behind it, but what are your feelings behind that? Competitive climbing being so different from outdoor climbing.
I think it's cool, just because it's like it tests different things. It's like if you want it to be exactly like outdoors, then just go outdoors. As in, it's nice the difference, and it's like I think things evolve, and that's kind of what climbing has evolved to. I think it's good to keep a balance, not making everything like jumps and coordination, but like also testing finger strength and like just other things. But like I think having that balance is really nice, just for diversity and also kind of fun moves, and it looks cool at the same time. So it's like just having that.
Agreed.
And for what it's worth, the trend seems to be that competitive climbers can go and crush on rock, but rock climbers tend to really struggle in competition.
Yeah,
So,
because you still require finger strength and technique when doing competition. But like outdoor, you're not going to do parkour type kind of moves or anything like that.
Because I think it's like outdoor climbers are like, they're really good at like pulling really hard and like finding nothing on rocks and holds on nothing. But like comp climbers have so much, they have to have like such a wide range of skills that like require like really good heel hooks and like things that outdoor climbers have, but then also like reading routes super well and swinging around and all that kind of stuff that really piles up.
Yeah, and like rapid firing, like I found, the coordination moves and even just being able. I think they actually tested this on maybe the semis, like literally, changing, from a, 2 hands over to like an underclay or even like an outward compression. Like you don't get that outdoors. You could make that happen outdoors, but it's typically not a preferred movement. Everything is more slow and constant contact. And so,
And for anybody who's looking for a really good discussion on this, check out Jakob Schubert's video talking about the different styles, coming off of a second Olympic bronze. I think there's very few people who are more qualified to speak on it. Somebody who has such a long competitive career. His main point was basically that all styles of climbing should be tested, and that the, let's call it traditional outdoor style, maybe has fallen off in terms of how often it's tested. So I think, as somebody who really enjoys outdoor climbing, I think it would be cool to see more of that. But I think you're right that a balance needs to be tested, and being able to deal with so many styles is at the core of competition climbing, right? Always adapting to a new challenge.
And I think that's also one of the reasons I think why bouldering is so much harder to be consistent than lead. Whereas you see at World Cup levels, the lead climbers are usually, the good lead climbers are usually always at the top. But then for bouldering, I think especially for men, it's like one person makes finals, podiums, but then next comp they don't make semis. And I think part of that is just because there's so many different styles and things being tested that it's so hard to be good at every single thing all the time. So it's like,
or even just trying to understand what these setters are looking for from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was watching the World Cup, watching so many different approaches to, I forgot which one, it was a men's boulder. People were going coordination, some were static, some were going low. It was just, kind of crazy to watch them not really, how they interpreted, what the intended beta was. So like, and that can also put you in a really bad place if you don't read it right.
I think outdoor lead corresponds a little bit more with indoor, like competition lead. Just as like it's easier to kind of transfer those skills. There's less like bouncing on really hard slab or like coordination moves. Like usually not coordination moves on slab, but
I think usually it corresponds to like two main things. I think or maybe three. Reading for sure. Finger strength and endurance. I think those are like the main.
Just look at Chris Sharma at the recent NACS Cup by us in New Jersey. Somebody who has been out of the competition game for 15 years, 2 decades, who knows? Still making. I think he made finals.
Yeah,
Right?
finals,
So like
second place. And obviously, one of the all-time climbing talents, right? But it just goes to show the lead game. Yeah, you can definitely train for on rock. I don't think that you get the same thing out of the boulder. Do you guys have any outdoor ambitions? I know it sounds like competitions are really where you're psyched and what you love training for, but do you have any hopes to get on rock?
Like big goals and like
specific climbs or anything?
I think maybe after all this,
Competing
maybe
next to
like
kind of
that.
test it out again. Since I do remember in 2020, back when like comps were closed and not happening, we did spend quite a bit of time outdoors and kind of we found a bit more of a liking for it. So just like I think it's more just almost like it's going out there a bit more and just kind of finding, I guess, things that we enjoy. But I have found that outdoors it feels more of like a social kind of fun thing, like going out with friends, and it's nice doing that. But then we've gone just a few times with each other, and we're like, ooh, we don't really know what we're doing here. And it's like, whereas normal training indoors, it's mostly just the two of us, and we're like, okay, let's get to training. So it's very different mindset, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. I would love to see more comp climbers kind of go the Killian Fischhuber route, where they dominate for 10 years and then go crush everything outside. I think that's a cool way of going about it, and definitely how we end up with really successful comp climbers. But I also know some of the top level comp climbers talk about how much they need some time on rock as a way to refresh their minds.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like they really enjoy that outdoor. But
Yeah, I think Yaka, I think one of them was stuff. Adam is also big in town, like Alex Megos. Yeah,
for sure.
Actually, an interesting little tidbit that I found out because I basically crashed the sequel block in New York party is Alex Honnold, who was the MC there, actually said that both him and Chris Sharma actually started their climbing journey indoors as competitors. So they both were competitor climbers first, and then went outside and just basically did what they did outdoors, which is an interesting thing that I was just like, you know, and come to find out that actually a lot of climbers do start their journey that way. Like, I mean, another example, I don't know if you guys know Austin Hoyt here in the New York scene. Him, Adam Sharma,
Adam Shahar.
Shahar. Oh my God.
Not Sharma.
Adam Shahar. And I was trying to pull the other
Isaac Leff.
Those three. You know, they all started off indoor competition, and then now they're outdoors, just like crushing everything. You know, reestablishing the New York scene, which is just kind of crazy. You know, and
crushing in competition.
And crushing in competitions at the same time. You know, so it's like, you know, it just, you know, once again, like that same thing. Like these guys started in the competitive scene, and now they're really just making waves outdoors, which is kind of neat to kind of see that. Yeah. I'm strong.
Yeah, strong. Cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, Basim, I don't know if you have any questions, but I don't want to take up any more of this guy's time.
I think it's been wonderful BetaBreak, really hanging out with you guys. I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know you got, like I said, want to get back out there and get back to training. But so Tyler always wants to know, and I think I have a suspicion, so, you know, we've started to partner with Madrock, and I noticed that both of you were crushing it with the Madrock, the drone CSs. Are you guys sponsored by Madrock?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So big shout out to them for providing some amazing rover. Like, I mean, so, I mean, I've just been reintroduced to Madrock. Tyler's been a big fan of Madrock for a long time. Like, what do you guys, like, how do you, clearly they're performing, like, but like anything about their shoes that
like
you...
That's the thing we always say about them, but I think it's the heel that really helps. As in, I think especially climbing, you can really heel hook like really small crimps, whereas we used to be sponsored by Evolve. Not to shame them or anything, but they didn't outfit our heel very well. As in, they're a bit wider, and we have a bit more, feet. So I think the mat.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the first thing everyone asks me about the mat, like like, what do you think about that heel? Like, they look at the design with that little ridge, and they don't.
I think it.
They kind of like.
I like it. Yeah, I think it's really.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's.
And you don't have to use it, obviously, but like, when you're heel hooking like really small things, it's nice to have that extra little edge there that really just kind of helps adjust it a bit more. And I think a lot of it, like with the other shoot, the Evolve ones, they were good. We could still heel hook most things, but it's more just, I think, almost like having a shoe that's like a little bit stiffer in the heel and just being like, okay, putting it there and being like, I know this is going to stick, rather than being like, maybe it might fall in any minute, kind of just like.
Right. Yeah. Last thing you want is any doubt, right? You want to just put it on and go, right? That applies to pretty much anything. Just trusting the foot's there, it's going to work, and moving on.
But
and at the level you guys are at, every advantage.
And then it's better. Leaving Evolve since we've been sponsored by them for like basically it's like 7 years or something. So like,
they don't almost.
But
are there any other brands out there that are supporting you, or
sponsored by Flash? They give us chalk, which is always helpful. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of the crash pads as well for when we want to go out again. But yeah, mostly we don't have any of that like big sponsored. I'd say.
So that's everyone's like big. You don't really need a big sponsor. You just need someone who's there to support the cause, and that's really what it's about, And so, big shout out to everyone who's supporting the sport and supporting athletes like you. big and small,
Yeah.
right? And I find it's actually harder to get big companies to even pick up the phone. Like when just hey, we just need to talk. Whether you're trying to help them out or you're looking for help from them, So yeah, I get it, but so I don't want to waste any more of your time. We're going to close it out. Tyler, I know you always have the right.
Yeah, let's run through the typical social media thing. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming and talking to us. It's been awesome. Love hearing from. This is our first 2 guest episode.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much. Been great hearing your story. Congratulations on your recent successes, but really solid careers at such a young age. Really looking forward to seeing what's next for you guys. If you are looking for more, make sure to check out the BetaBreakerz YouTube channel, like, subscribe, show somebody. You can get notifications about all of the upcoming live streams if you subscribe. If you are looking for competitions, whether you're looking for the live stream or to compete yourself, check out climbingnoise.com, where almost every competition in North America gets listed. If you are somebody who works at a gym, make sure that you reach out to Climbing Noise and Jasim will list it so fast, it's crazy. So check out climbingnoise.com, check out BetaBreakerz on YouTube.
Check out Guy and Kindar.
Check out Guy and Kindar. Yeah, can you guys say it'll be in the description, but could you guys list your Instagram pages or any other place people can find you?
Kindar Mcnamee and Guy Mcnamee. Simple. Yeah, it's simple.
Easy. Yeah. No excuse not to follow them.
Because I will be following them, and hopefully we will have you guys back on again after you get on top of some more podiums, or even in between, whenever the mood strikes you. If you want to come over into the US and smack around some US climbers again some more, come on down, let's make it happen. And I really do appreciate you taking this time out to hop on with us for this. And also, before we close out, I just want to thank the CEC. I want to thank Canada. You guys really came through. Not only did you watch the live stream, but you also dropped down hundreds and hundreds of subscriptions to the channel, which is greatly appreciated because it helps to grow the channel, allows us to keep doing what we're doing, and also be able to provide this at a cost that everyone can afford. And that's really what it's about. So thank you very much for subscribing, and thank you guys so much for crushing it and giving us a reason to cross the border to capture these competitions. And I've said all I have to say. So
thank you.
We'll catch you all on the next one.
We'll catch everybody in the next one.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.